Welcome to Nerdy Nakama. Hey everybody, here we are with another episode of Nerdy Nakama, and today we are talking about the most recent chapter of One Piece. I think it was One Piece 974?
973, the Kozuki clan.
Ooh, my bad. 973. And this chapter starts off with Oden and them flashbacking on Roger's ship just for a few panels. The first question I have is, you saw the octopus they were floating with, right?
Yeah.
Is it the same one that Luffy had in his pants 20 years later?
If that was the same one, I'm gonna just say yes, it is. That's their only way of like traveling down from Sky Island. The same octopus
has had a crazy life. He goes from Roger's ship to Luffy's pants.
Man.
But that was just funny. I saw that and that was just funny. I was like, that octopus, I know that octopus.
Hey, you think when they got down from the Sky Island that they went to the G, what was it, G4 or G8? Think they went to the same place?
No, because I mean we don't know which. I mean obviously they used the octopus to come down, but I don't know if they came down the same way because Sky Island was getting destroyed and the Straw Hats had to dip pretty hard. So the Roger Pirates could have easily taken a different way out that was a little bit safer. Even though it was, through the octopus, they could have dropped off in a different spot, I think, and been okay.
So Roger didn't get to see the legend Condi Oriano, huh?
Nah, that guy was, he was still probably a teenager around that point. He was a cabin boy swabbing decks and cleaning urinals, you know?
Yeah, snitching on people so he can make his way up to the inspector role.
You know, some pre-Orochi type stuff. Playing the field.
Man, Orochi in this chapter was fucking crazy, dude.
No, he was all surprised that Oden could withstand the boiling, yet there he was, withstanding the boiling.
Orochi was shook, he was scared, he felt it on every level. It was great.
It was so bad. But real quick on that flashback, I loved it when Oden was he's talking to Momo and he's like, "So what do you think about girls?" And he's like, "What are you doing? Stop."
It's too early to talk to a child about their taste in women.
Yep, or he's like, "Hey, when you slice someone, think of slicing a fish cake." Dude, Roger's crew is just yelling at him like, "You can't do this, Oden. Stop it."
I really liked seeing I really liked seeing Momo getting trained like he was and like taught the ropes by the Chad Oden.
I know, and he had that look on his face while he was swinging the sword. So you know that face that Luffy makes when he lies and he sticks his lips out, he puckers them up.
Yeah.
Momo almost had that same look as he was swinging the sword, and it was just funny. I loved it. I freaking loved it.
Man, it just like seeing Momo get trained like he did, and like how Oden was interacting with him, it made me think like we actually might be able to see when Momo gets aged forward and like is able to start fighting and everything.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I'd like to see something at least where Momo can become part of the fight, and even if it's not as like a swordsman in his human form, I'd like to see him be able to do something in his dragon form.
Oh man, to see an adult Momo in dragon form, ooh.
Even if he's like a kid and he just like gets really good at using his dragon form and kind of gets some powers down, because how would they age him up?
Like they have the devil fruit of what I say is the most loyal vassal of the Kozuki clan, Shinobu. She has her power to like try to age him forward.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's okay. I like that. That's fair. And maybe it gets into that spot where it's like, hey, we need you now. We need you to be ready now. We need you as an adult now. It's time to do
Yeah,
this.
it's like, you are the king. Please come. Well, Shogun, you're supposed to rule us. You're supposed to lead us. Help us out here, man.
Yep. So be the king already. That makes sense.
And like seeing Hiyori practice her little geisha stuff when she was a little kid with Odin still there, that was nice. You know, flashbacks and flashbacks.
Yeah, she was playing the shamisen early. I mean, I wasn't sure if it was just something that she did as a performance thing, but obviously she's playing it as a little girl, as a kid, and it's something that she actually enjoyed
Yeah,
playing
that
it
really
instrument.
made me think
But
about when she was playing it with the mask on at Orochi's procession or whatever. Seeing her like take the mask off and like thinking back by that, that's real touching now.
yeah, and she had her song that they really pointed out the name of called Moon Princess. And I think it has a little bit of significance later on in the chapter I'll get into whenever Toki's talking. But I think that her song Moon Princess is also going to have some sort of significance after two things. After they win the battle with Kaido and all that. The other thing is that Odin makes Hiyori cry when he says, "You can play it at my funeral when I die." And he's just joking. But with everything that's gone on, Odin hasn't had a proper funeral. He hasn't had a proper mourning and things like that. So I think after they finally get rid of Kaido and Orochi and they kind of straighten Wano back out, we're gonna see that scene at the end where they all properly have a celebration for Odin, and we're gonna see Hiyori play that Moon Princess song.
So you just hurt my feelings because I didn't think about that. Like seeing, like I just imagine Hiyori there playing it and genuinely crying, and all the like samurai around his grave just pouring tears. I can like even see Zoro giving the sword back because how sad that scene is. He's like, man, this is. I'm gonna just leave that there, you know?
So I have a question for you there. Then, if you want to talk about like all them crying and everything. So right now, Kiroshiro, as we found out, this chapter is Denjiro, and he I don't quite understand because they really make a physical representation of a demon in this chapter when he says that the reason that he looks the way he does is because of the demon of anger. He wears the face of anger now, but it physically changed his face, his hair color, everything. I mean, it completely changed all that. So, is this another representation that these demons and other things in the world of One Piece are more than just something that we as an audience see, but an actual physical representation by Haki or Aura or Will or something like that, just like Zoro?
See, I can actually really get down with that because the way that hockey has been shown to work is kind of like there are the different shades and like they are more so geared towards the actual person and how they use it. Like seeing him just be overcome with anger and like that the new face that he wears also goes into play with like the themes of masks and everything in Wano.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Exactly.
he's masking himself with his own aura, with his own like emotions at this point, to the point where no one can recognize him. I think that definitely has something to do with like the life force, energy, hockey, and everything.
So back to what you're saying now about all the samurai standing around Odin's grave crying as she's playing that song. Do you think that Denjiro crying those tears and feeling sadness and not anger anymore after everything's done, he might change back to what he used to look like?
Yeah, I could definitely see like the sorrow washing away the anger and like have a really touching scene with like Brooke and Hiyori playing music for his, funeral.
Well, it, and it's sorrow, but it's also happiness in the sense that they finally completed what Odin always wanted. They
Yeah.
completed his goals, and they
And like that
made him
amount of
prevail.
relief.
So it's like sadness for Odin being gone at the same time. Like he's fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
like I brought up Brooke into this situation with the music to aid, like, because how Brooke has been using his music, he can like touch the people's souls, and he might even be able to help him that way. And it wouldn't be like a direct like we see Brooke touching his soul and helping save him, but like I don't know, it's just kind of there as like a theme that Brooke has.
And I don't think that Denjiro would look the exact same as he did 20 years ago because obviously he's aged.
Yeah,
But I think like he looks completely different now.
maybe his
And you
hair
can
stays
see it.
that.
You can see it like in his eyes, the rage. And I just feel like if that was gone, maybe he'd be
Yeah,
different
and like
again.
on the note of Dendro and like his eyes being like the anger and like the tiredness that like every day that you see with him, it brings me back to that like old samurai show series that I watched, the 12 movies or whatever. the Sleepy Eyes of Death really plays a big role in this, like because they what did they call him, like
Mm-hmm.
the napping swordsman, and that like
Yeah.
I have to thank Faye for like talking about that because I watched those and now I just feel a little more understanding for his situation.
Yeah, they called him Napping Kiroshiro.
Yeah, and it's great to see like cultural things get played into the story of Japan Wano, you know?
Mm-hmm. Um, so I'm gonna back up real quick again a little bit back into the chapter. Um, we see everyone start running away, and Shinobu yells at Kinemon, crying, wants to be a Kozuki, and I like how Kinemon was kind of like, we were all uninvited. None of us, like we all forced our way in here. Just do the
Yeah,
same.
he like basically laid out the steps. Oh, you want to be one of us? Just force yourself to be one of us, and you're one of us.
Yeah, like do it without our consent, and you're one of us. But I like how they all started getting away. It's just it sucks that Kaido got there, and I thought he was about to throw Momo off of the castle. I mean, he's choking the hell out of him, and
Yeah, seeing that
oh
panel
god.
with like Kaido's arms stretched out and like Momo above everything, I really loved that
Yeah, I
panel.
did too, because he was trying to be so tough, but you see his face pucker up, and he gets so sad and scared. Just, I'm gonna be the ruler of this country, and just he can't do it, and it is
I
so
really
good.
liked how the official like had the wording out of that. So he's like gonna carry the nation on his shoulders. Like he said that without even seeing what happened to his dad and how Odin carried everybody on his
Exactly.
shoulders and everything. I thought that was perfect.
Momo may not physically be Odin, but he's definitely got the mentality that he needs to have.
The apple don't fall too far from the tree, huh?
Nope, it's just a lot smaller. Not as strong, let's put it that way. But
I did want to ask you about Kaido's design back in the day. Like he is wearing like a biker jacket. He looks like a biker, dude.
yeah, he definitely has that look of like a Hell's Angel almost.
Yeah, like he rides a sick chopper and everything, and he
Yeah, and he
like,
gets drunk all the time, and he's always got smoke billowing from his nose. I feel like it fits for sure.
oh man, I don't want to go there, but then he also has one of those baby mamas with like 30 kids.
And a son who's just, one respectful son. The rest are all brats. That one respectful is just a badass who could probably. I bet Kata could hurt Kaido. I don't think he could beat him, obviously, but
I don't think he'd get one shot.
exactly. Let's put it that way. I don't think he'd get one shot like Luffy did. I think Kata would ultimately get his ass beat, but he'd do
Yeah, I feel
well.
like he'd get more blood out of Kaido than Luffy did for sure.
It'd be a good fight though, but father versus son, I think.
Hey man, how do you view like the different scabbards at this point? Like how strong they are compared to the people that we know are the enemies of this arc?
um, I don't know because so like Kinemon always seems to be like a decent matchup for everybody that he goes up against so far, and
Yeah.
Kiku's always chilling with Kinemon, looking like he's never breaking a sweat. I don't know what to say there. Um, so I think Kiku's like way strong, and if Kiku is the traitor, it would make sense that Kiku's holding back, because Kiku like looks distressed occasionally, but anytime anything's going down, she's just like, I got this, you know.
Yeah, it's like almost like Zenetsu and like, I have to let go of the conscious a little bit to do something.
Denjiro, I think he's probably somewhere in the middle in terms of like power level. I'd say Kinemon. I'd say he's probably like right under Kinemon. Um,
You think Dendro is under Kinemon?
I do. I think he's gotten stronger. I think maybe back in the day during the flashback and everything, Kinemon was stronger. I think now, Kinemon, since he skipped forward, he hasn't really had any time to train. But I do think that Denjiro Kiroshiro has gotten stronger with the Demon of Anger and things like that. So now I would put Kiroshiro above him for sure. But I think back in the day that Denjiro had Kinemon beat. But after that 20 years, I mean, Denjiro has 20 years on Kinemon now.
Yeah, he has all that new
You
experience.
know,
He
but back
gathered his own crew and everything, and he did more than what Kinemon has done himself.
exactly. I think Ashura Doji, we saw him go up against Jack.
Yeah, and when he went up
So
against Jack, he got a good, he got a good hit in, and then he wasn't really giving and like receiving any more attacks. You know.
exactly. So if I use Ashura Doji as like a base to help compare everybody else. So like where they're at right now, I think Ashura Doji is probably like number 4. I'd put Raizo, Kinemon, um wow, who's the artist guy? I forget his name right now for some reason.
Conjuro.
Conjuro. I'd put them honestly probably the bottom. As well as Kiku. So Conjuro, Raizo, Kiku, and Kinemon towards the bottom. Part of the reason because they skipped forward 20 years and they didn't get the same training that everybody else did, and had to sit there and live, and in this place that Kaido had been ruling with this crazy, crazy army. I would probably put Kiroshiro at the top now. I'd probably put Kappa. No, I'd probably put Doji at number 2, Kappa at 3 or 4. Um,
I can see it. I can see that. I feel like Dendro is definitely number one.
something like that. It's honestly hard to make this, and really think about it. But it's somewhere in that ballpark that I kind of just gave
Yeah,
you. It's something like that,
I can
you
see
know.
Dendro being the strongest,
So
Ashura Doji being the second, Kawamatsu being the third. Because like what Kawamatsu went through, it looks like he probably gained a lot of endurance and everything. So once he's at full strength, going into a fight with him, it could take a couple days, to take him out.
exactly. But in my head, I put Kawamatsu up against Jack, and he didn't do as well.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't do as well against Jack comparative to
And that's
Ashura.
that's why I put him under Ashura. Is just I mean, hell, Kappa he could probably do well against Ashura, maybe better than Jack. Maybe it's a size thing. I don't fully know because we know that size isn't always everything in One Piece either. But little Kappa's like a Yoda. At the same time, I feel like he's not gonna have the same ability to go against Jack that Ashura Doji did.
See, I can see that, but when I started thinking about his endurance that he probably built over those 13 years in prison, like not eating anything except for like poison, reminded me a lot of like when Zoro was first introduced. He didn't have any food or anything, but like we see his endurance
Mm-hmm.
like was a lot. I'm not saying it's a direct connection, what type of food you don't eat and
Yeah.
everything makes you more durable, but.
Exactly. So I could almost see, Kawamatsu being able to take a little bit more than Doji, but Doji I think can dish it out a little bit
Because
better.
like we know Jack, the way he fights, he can last for days, and after seeing like him last for years with little food and most of it being poisoned, I feel like he would be able to last like he wouldn't do what the Minks did and they went night for morning shifts and everything. I feel like Kawamatsu could have lasted as long as they did, but not having the same breaks that they did.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely think that being in that prison helped him in certain ways, maybe hurt him in others.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
You know, but in the way that he got hurt by being in that prison, it's nothing that a good night's sleep and a full meal outside of it wouldn't cure.
Just make sure he's not, hovering over his plate like ex cons do out here.
Exactly. And I really liked seeing him run off with Hiyori too. I'm glad that we saw that. The only thing I didn't like seeing, we didn't see any swords, any of Odin's swords. I mean, I figure that they're there. They made a point to say that they got sent off with them and everything, but I just, nah, you know, no swords in the drawing
Yeah,
for either.
I can see the upset there. And I don't know how did I know Shinobu got the swords for everybody when they were running away, but like
Yeah, but he said thanks for the weapons. Were they those? Were they their specific weapons? Well, yeah, I guess because they get sent off into the future right after this, and that's what they've got. So it had to have been their
I
weapons.
need to look back at the actual scabbards that they held when they had Odin's whole thing where he went to the capital. But I really liked how Kinemon's scabbards were like designed. They look really cool.
Yeah, I definitely like how they've designed a lot of the weaponry of the Wano arc.
Man, swords are just too cool to, take your time on. You gotta make sure they're perfect.
Yeah, but anyways, we see in the chapter 2 that Odin starts talking to Toki, and this is kind of one reason that I'm also believing Toki might be alive. Um, if here's my thing, my theory's changed. I don't think that she threw herself into the future. I think she got captured.
Oh, she got captured?
I think so. So let me get into this right here. So Odin's talking to Toki so Toki is running from the castle like everybody else. I'm guessing that she just sent everybody to the future. Kappa's running with Hiyori, and Toki escapes by horse.
Yes.
So you see Toki escaping to the front where all the citizens are standing in front watching the castle burn. And all of a sudden she starts screaming, yelling at all the people. Well, before she does that, you see the flashback with Odin, and Odin even says, "I know you've been looking for it, Toki, someone who can, fix this," or whatever he says word for word. I can't say for sure, but it was made obvious that Toki has been searching for the last 800 years or whatever for someone who's going to stop the world government, the oppression of Wano, everything like that. And Odin looks at her and says, "Look to the future 20 years." He says it again in a different way, in a different conversation this time, where that day is finally coming in 20 more years. And I don't, it's almost like he passed that on to Toki, and I don't see Toki just passing that on and sacrificing herself immediately right after getting that will from Odin.
Yeah, I don't know. The way she responded to that made me think like she was going to accept her fate. She said something like, she was running to the future and she wanted to find somebody that would like help her. It wasn't like something like
Yeah, because they even say that she's looking for someone to carry that will for her, and she's looking for someone to carry that finale to fruition, I guess. Um, but here's the whole thing. So you see her yelling, and she mentions again, "You are the moon, unaware of the dawn." Right? So it kind of goes back to the whole moon princess thing again. And I think when Toki is obviously talking about "you are the moon, unaware of the dawn," the citizens of Wano sat there and talked about how they were going to be in an eternal night, how things were going to be dark because they didn't have faith in the Kozuki clan and everything. And then Toki comes out, "You're the moon, unaware of the dawn." I think what it means is you are the moon, unaware that the light is right around the corner. The citizens have no hope, and yet 20 years is all they need for everything to finally be fixed. And Toki's just trying to tell them, hold out a little more hope.
Yeah, and I like how these themes are playing in again with the moon and as well as like the dawn because like
Mm-hmm.
first the moon theme I really like that and it makes like since the beginning of Wano I've always thought that someone is going to end up destroying one of the like 8 moons that the One Piece world has.
Ooh.
Like I was thinking it was either going to be some sword slash or like Kaido's Boro breath getting there and destroying one of them. But then also like that theme of like the dawn coming after a long night, it makes me always go back to Blackbeard and how I feel like he's gonna become the final villain, cast a darkness across the entire world instead of just specific countries like what's been going on. And
Yeah.
the Straw Hats are going to have to face that on and make that dawn.
So, right here is why I think that Toki got captured. So when she's yelling at everybody, you see a panel where they say Lady Toki, and it's not looking at her. It says Lady Toki, and there's a thump.
Maybe she passed out.
I'm pretty sure she got knocked on the head.
Because like if you look at the panel right before
Because they
that,
saw her
it
run.
looks like she's shaking.
Kaido's people saw her running. Yeah, Kaido's people saw her running, though. And I mean, it's not like she got very far. She was only right outside the castle. So I'm thinking someone came up behind her and thunked her on the head
Yeah.
and knocked her out and put her, captured her as prisoner. And I think that when they finally go down and if they can sneak in and find poneglyphs or anything like that, maybe they'll find Lady Toki down there with the poneglyphs that Kaido has buried under the underground.
But like if she got captured for all this time, like what has been going on? Like they probably would have just killed her and got her fruit already if, or she doesn't have the fruit. But they wouldn't have known that, you know? They would have at least tried.
No, they wouldn't have. They wouldn't have. But I could almost see when her whole thing was 20 years, 20 years, and everyone in the country knew 20 years, 20 years, 20 years. I could almost see them keeping her around for 20 years just to prove to her that it didn't happen, just to be spiteful for Odin's will.
Yeah, I could see that coming from an Orochi figure. Yeah.
Orochi. Exactly, like I wouldn't see Kaido doing it so much maybe, but I could see her being kept around as a prisoner and one that they don't know is still there. At the same time, I mean the citizens, if she got thumped on the head, if she just passed out, what happened to her?
That was
Is my
probably where
question.
she died. I'm not gonna lie. She probably like used her last bit of strength. You see the blood coming from her. Like she probably got out there,
And
did
that's
that.
fair. And if she if I mean for a long time I did think that she had died. And so if she did, then yeah, that was it. But I do think it's possible that when they said Lady Toki, she got thumped on the head. It's also possible that she fell, Lady Toki thump. So we'll have to see. I'm sure we'll get some sort of we'll know whether we see her again or not. We'll figure it
Yeah,
out
and
eventually.
like I did like to see how, because like we know that Orochi was afraid of what Lady Toki said for 20 years, but seeing the immediate reaction that he had, and he's just been shivering. Like she hit her words got him shaking to the bone. You know.
To the point where he tried to boil himself like Odin. He wants to be in the hard boiled club.
You think he still takes boiling baths to this day?
I'm not sure.
Oh, this is awkward. We're just talking about Orochi being, in his bathtub. I'm gonna just go to the next topic.
It happens. Uh, the oh man. So you realize Kiroshiro's the witching hour boy, right?
Yep, Kiroshiro's the witching hour boy, and
And that's why he napped all the time too.
that's why he's tired. He's the napping guy now.
Yeah, but he's so badass that even if someone comes up on him, he's gonna get him. So it's just crazy, man. And then to reveal himself to Komuro Saki finally and say that you can't tell anybody, which she still hasn't. She's with everybody else now. She's on, with the fighting force finally, and she still has not said anything.
Oh, Denjiro. He might have a plot to like find out who the snitch is or the spy, you know?
Well, yeah, exactly. He whole thing is that he has to completely hide his identity if he wants things to work.
Out of all of the information that he already gave up, that was actually not given. You know, Denjiro being the like Denjiro and Kiyoshiro being the same person, Kyoshiro, they that's the one thing that wasn't revealed to Orochi's forces.
Yep. Yep. And part of it was he hid away, until he came out and was a new person. I wonder if he had to harness this demon in that cabin that he was in. Because you see him come out and he's a changed person, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he had to, fight this demon within himself.
Like, I really think that swordsmen are some of the strongest in the verse because, like, the way they spoke about the sword god and then Zoro with Ashura and now, like, he has that,
The bloodlust of some of the swords.
yeah,
Enma.
all of that being, like, able to last for generations on generations, just people's wills, you know?
Exactly.
So, like, seeing how he got taken over by that, like, the anger demon and everything and being able to do how he's like for years working under someone he hates. I don't know. I feel like he's really perfected his own craft.
I'm excited to see what happens when he reveals himself and we see what he can do now because I think he's gotten way stronger. So
He's probably going to be the one that takes down the spy. No lie. That's my thought right now.
Yep, or whoever. If there wasn't a spy, it's going to be the one who was able to. I think, it's possible that one of the minks, cat or dog, got tricked by accident.
Like the minks were highlighted in this chapter like a lot. So I feel like it could be just Oda trying to push us to think that again.
Literally, you see the dog and cat arguing, and there's a small panel where they're called stupid, like, doing it again, you stupid animals, or you stupid, whatever he calls them. Whole thing is they're pointed out to be very dumb. I could see them slipping
Yeah,
up.
I feel like I wouldn't really like a trick being played and getting information like that because now we're so far in the future and like they would have been able to realize it and not go back and do the exact same thing, you know?
I guess we'll have to see what happens. I bet Kiroshiro at least has a lead, though, at the very least, by now.
See, now you're gonna like I'm gonna have to reread this whole like flashback and every time that Kiroshiro was in it and see how he's acting with all of the different scabbards just to see if he
Yep.
does.
I want to go back to the beginning of Wano as well, and see how he acts as well, and see if I can kind of derive some future things from what we know about him now, from what he's done in the past when we first met him. So
The only thing that I remember from when he was on screen in the current timeline, when we first got to Wano, he said some like he spoke very low of Kinemon.
and Orochi.
Well, Orochi. See, but in the same breath, he spoke bad about both Orochi and Kinemon. I might just have to get back on my Kinemon's a traitor thing.
Yeah, but was he talking to someone
Yeah,
as Kiroshiro?
yeah.
So of course he's gonna talk crap about Kinemon.
But then also about Orochi.
So when they first introduced Kiroshiro, they played him off to be a very neutral character who was not going to help the Straw Hats, but still hated Orochi. Was going to do everything for his own gain. Is the impression I had from Kiroshiro in the beginning. So, I think for that reason,
Fair.
If he's trying to convince someone else who's not on either of those sides of what's going on, he's providing what his true intent is to help the Kozuki clan and the rebels, obviously. But to that person, he's revealing what they think his true intent should be,
Yeah.
which is fuck both sides. I want to be in power. So, because he was talked about being shogun and everything.
I can see that.
Um,
Do you think that he's gonna become Shogun? I'd like to see it.
Not shogun. I could see Momo being like a kid shogun with Kiroshiro and the other scabbards advising him. Like nothing happens without their advisement.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cause like that's kind of how Momo was raised.
Because even if they somehow grow Momo up, it's not like he's going to be any smarter.
True.
So it almost makes sense for them to not grow him up so he can have more time to learn and really run the country after he's learned.
Because he right now is just a sniveling kid, and if he got matured, he would just be a sniveling kid with a big body.
Exactly. He still needs to go through all that time that you need to go through as you become an adult and you mature. So I think that he would have to do it differently, obviously being a ruler, but he still needs to go through that.
Now, with how this flashback's been going and all about, what is it? Roger and Whitebeard and all the past and everything, do you think we're going to actually end the, like, One Piece with this arc?
No.
No?
Like with Wano?
Yeah, like Wano being like the final war, and then we just have the resolution of needing to find Raftel
No.
or
No.
however.
No, I think that there'll be a big war in Wano. I think they'll go somewhere else first. I think then they'll go find the One Piece, and then you'll have the war against the Great Government or against the government.
Okay.
That's how I think of it, anyway. Reason being is this is Kaido's war as a Yonko. I think that their war with the world government is not going to come until after they've already discovered the One Piece. And I could also see so here's how I also think it's going to play out, because I know that you believe Blackbeard's going to be the final villain. I believe Blackbeard is going to be the last, if not in this war with the world government, then he'll fight Blackbeard and his crew before the world government. And reason being is that he will find the One Piece first. Luffy is going to have to beat him down, discover the Void Century. Well, their crew's going to have to discover the Void Century, discover everything that Roger did, discover what the world government really did, and discover that they need to go take them down. And so either I think the One Piece is going to have to be found before this war with the world government.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then after the war, we get some sort of few chapters with a resolution of where they are. You know, if Luffy's alive, then we see him dancing around all happy. If Luffy's dead, then we see him mourning and other people carrying on his will. And, you know, it's just, I think that, I definitely don't think this is the final war. I think this is going to be as big as Marineford, if not a little bigger in its own way.
Man, this arc is gonna outdo Marineford for me. I'm sorry, it's already hitting that stage.
I definitely do not think that this is by any means the final war, because while some Marine forces are coming to Wano, Kobe and others who are key to that final war are not anywhere near it yet.
See, unless we have Boa get enslaved by somebody, and we have I was talking to my friend the other day about like Boa and how that thing is going down with Kobe, as well as like Blackbeard trying to claim the prize if the Marines are just going to take it, because it really does make me think that Blackbeard's either taking an ancient weapon or he's going out and collecting the different Shishibukai, the kings, and he's going to like willingly or not, he's going to take a bunch of people with him, you know. And I can see like Luffy and them after this whole situation with Wano gets resolved, and then like let's say Luffy learns the true history, he's gonna go and fight the world government. But I also see Blackbeard going to do the same thing around the same time, and like while Luffy actually fights the bad, Blackbeard kind of sneaks in and takes out Im and tries to rule for himself. And that would cause like Luffy to have to fight Blackbeard as the final villain, you know, without a lot of arcs.
So Blackbeard doesn't try and become the Pirate King so much as he tries to become the same thing that Rocks did, and that's the Total King.
Yeah, and like, but the way Blackbeard would see it, he did it as a pirate, so he's still a pirate, but at the same time, he's the king of everything. He's the pirate king of everything.
That's very true. It's a good way to look at it. But I guess we're gonna have to see. I don't know. This flashback's wrapping up, and this arc is getting through, so...
This flashback is the end of the act. I just want everybody to know that. This act is a little bit before the flashback, and a little bit after the flashback, and we're on to see what happened outside of Wano.
Yep. I'm excited to see what plays out next, so hopefully something happens soon.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, check us out next week for the next chapter, guys. We appreciate you joining us. Always like and subscribe. Hey everybody, thank you for checking out the podcast today, and if you like what you heard, you can always find more episodes on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please give us a like and subscribe, and always watch out for more content. Thank you.